Doug, what's happening, man?
Doing really well today, Ron. How are you?
I'm good, good. No complaints, man. We're going to roll right into this thing. If you can start by giving us an idea of what you do, including but not limited to whether it's sedentary, whether your work requires travel, that sort of thing. Tell us a little bit about Doug.
Yeah, absolutely. So, unfortunately, I spend probably a good 8 to 9 hours a day parked in front of a computer. So, a little bit of trading, a little bit of other finance related activities. But outside of that, like my wife and I, we try and keep pretty active. I would say not super active, but we're in the gym maybe 4 or 5 days a week. And even on those days off, we're typically out and about walking, running, riding our bikes. So I would say it's a pretty good balance, but yeah, unfortunately, a good chunk of the day is pretty darn sedentary.
Okay, cool. And tell us what type of things were you struggling with or just kind of wanted to address before working with myself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have to admit, I didn't even know I needed a trainer at the time. And looking back on it, I wish I would have made the decision years earlier. So I was an athlete up through high school, and was never good enough to play college ball, but played three sports and during those years, that's going back 20, 25 years ago, I had workout plans and just kind of kept those same routines and those same plans in place for a very, very long time. And obviously the education that goes along with that changed over time, philosophies changed over time, and this guy didn't. And so the same routine, years and years, over and over again. A lot of free weights. It was a lot of strength training, very little focus on flexibility, and I was having some pretty bad physical problems. So bad back, bad shoulders, bad knees. I just thought it was old age. And then you and I teamed up several years back, and we really changed up my workout routine quite meaningfully. And it was a hard adjustment. I've been doing the same thing for over 2 decades, and it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. I mean, I live life now pretty much pain free. Different focus on things like flexibility that I didn't really pay attention to in the past. A lot more focus on the core, and really getting some variety into the workouts. Really made a world of difference. So I would say just my lifestyle today. I may not be as strong as I used to be, but I'm much healthier. I'm pain free. And hey, when I go out on the golf course today, I am hitting the ball 10, 20 yards longer than I had been years ago, simply because I'm more flexible. So yeah, so working with you it's been a life changer. Outside of just the gym, it's been quite a development for me.
Oh, wow. Wow, good stuff, man. Well, listen, can you tell me a little bit about, like, you mentioned the back, you mentioned shoulder, elbow. I'm not sure. Did you mention elbow or something in there as well? Like,
Yeah.
what were some of the symptoms in those areas prior to the program versus after? Like, what are some of the
Yeah.
things that you notice a little bit more specifically?
So the two real problem areas were my back and my knees. My back, I just got used to throwing it out 2, 3 times a year and then being out of commission for 5 or 6 days until things kind of got back to normal. But the pain was excruciating. It was debilitating. And really, I think when we started working a bit more on just broader flexibility, on some core strength, even working with the hips and areas of the body that I hadn't really focused on before, I've now gone to a point where, having a back problem is now every couple years instead of multiple times a year. And usually that's the result of me doing something really stupid. But the knees were bad enough where when we first started working out, some mornings I'd have to go downstairs sideways because just walking downstairs straight down was incredibly, incredibly painful on the knees. And I could have sworn I had a joint problem. And you were very quick to point out, no, you have a flexibility problem. And we had a little bit of a debate there. I'm like, this isn't a muscle thing, it's a joint thing. And sat me down and said, look, it's all connected. And I have to admit, I didn't believe it. And 2 to 3 weeks after really working on specific stretching for those particular areas supporting the knee, I haven't had knee problems like that since then. So yeah, so it's actually affected just my daily routine in life, even outside the gym. It's been just an incredible improvement in lifestyle for me all around.
Cool, man. Awesome, awesome. What things would you say you've learned along the way that you can kind of share?
Well, I'll tell you what, the first thing I learned is I didn't know a lot. And I think that's important. I think it's important to show some humility, which I would say, when we first started working together, I thought I knew it all. Free weights were the best answer to strength training, and I felt like I was pretty knowledgeable on the space given my background. But the reality was I hadn't done anything to educate myself, in 20 plus years on any sort of new knowledge base that was out there, new techniques, new concepts. So I think the most important thing that my takeaway was to open myself up to other people like you that have knowledge and continue to educate yourself really on health, whether it's from the physical aspect, from the diet aspect, and that I need to be able to open myself and leverage your knowledge and incorporate it into my training routines and my lifestyle. So I think that, believe it or not, we can get into the specifics of what we do in the gym and kind of the workouts and some of the different things. But I think the most important takeaway for me was that I just didn't have the knowledge base that I thought I did, and that there was a lot to be gleaned from someone like you to educate me. And then not just on day one, but to continue to do that as we all kind of develop a better understanding of the human body and everything that affects it.
Got it. Well, Doug, we're all a work in progress, man. Nobody knows everything, and certainly include myself, not in this vast world of fitness and nutrition and just overall health. You know what I mean? So it's constantly evolving. But one thing I wanted to ask you, you mentioned some time ago about even with your travel, like being on an airplane and things like that. Could you share that with us, some of the difference that is made with that? Because that was intriguing to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it ended up, and I didn't realize this over time, that, a lot of my back problems, they were actually kind of within short distances of me having done, or short time frames of me having done some significant travel, a couple of weeks in a row, being on airplanes, going back and forth, different beds and whatnot in various hotels, and not really understanding that, hey, that period of time outside the gym is almost when you need to be more careful. And I think some of the tips that you provided me as far as kind of stretching techniques, other exercises that I could take with me on the road to help counteract what was really kind of being thrown at my body, putting it maybe a little out of whack from its normal routine, went a long way. So I can't remember the last time that I've spent time on the road. Well, we've obviously had COVID recently that's limited a lot of that travel, but even before then, really being in a situation where I had back problems that were caused by travel like they had been in the past. So taking those kind of suggestions, those routines that you gave me on the road has been fantastic as far as preventing issues that I would have had historically, especially from plane travel.
Has it made you just sleep on the plane a little bit better?
Yeah.
Using a pillow, not using a pillow.
It's funny because little things that, little pieces of advice you gave me about getting up and walking around during the flight, how to position maybe a pillow or a washcloth behind the back on extended flights. Just little things like that wouldn't have crossed my mind and normally I hadn't paid attention to, and just incredibly, incredibly helpful. Again, just I think the biggest obstacle for me was just opening myself up and making the decision to kind of take in somebody else's knowledge base and leverage that. And that's just another example of kind of how I benefited from us working together over the past several years.
Well, awesome, man. It's been a pleasure. What advice could you give to the person that's kind of on the fence, that isn't quite sure or certain that they want to take on and start this program?
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest to anyone, give it a shot, right? Worst thing that happens is, you work with someone like you, and hey, I just feel like you don't need it. But in with the small chance that you're someone like me, the improvements can be dramatic. And to be honest, I think it's more than just getting more out of the gym while you're there. It's how your lifestyle ends up being outside the gym, right? And that's where we really spend most of our time. So I would encourage everyone, even those people that have been physically active like I had been. It wasn't like I went from sedentary, non-active to hitting the gym suddenly 10 years later. I've been active this whole time, and the benefits that I took away from working with a personal trainer were just tremendous. Like I said, I wish I would have made the change years earlier. So I couldn't suggest or recommend more someone that's even experienced in the gym to give it a shot, because I would be very, very surprised if an individual walked away thinking that it wasn't beneficial from some aspects. So that'd be my suggestion, my recommendation. Hey, it's actually what I tell my friends and family whenever I get the chance and they ask how things are going. I say, hey, it's not about just spending time in the gym. It's about spending quality time in the gym. And I think quality ramps up exponentially when you're with someone that's a professional and is dedicating time to understanding and continuing to gain knowledge about fitness and health and everything that goes along with it. And it's up to us to leverage that experience and expertise.
Wow. Well said, my man. Hey, again, I appreciate your time. Thanks for sharing it with us. And have a very productive and quality rest of your day. Make sure that the rest of your work day is quality. Like the same.
Absolutely, Ron. Absolutely. Thank you
the
very
same
much.
way you put in the gym. All right.
I appreciate
cool, man.
everything. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one. Thank you.